SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
This is Gerard Gibert, and thank you for listening to MidDays here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
MidDays with Gerard Gibert is on the air. MidDays with Gerard Gibert is powered by C-Spire. Power your home or business with C-Spire Fiber. To learn more, visit supertalk.fm/C-Spire. C-Spire Fiber powers SuperTalk Mississippi. Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. Hello. You're listening to MidDays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
We're having some slight technical difficulties this morning, which is to be expected, I suppose.
We also all worked out. Dave Hughes with you on MidDays on this Friday morning. Hope it is a wonderful day for you and yours. I know he is super busy, but just to say hi, my buddy Rhino's over in the box this morning. How you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad.
That was appropriately cheerful, I think. I like that. Coming up in the show today, next segment, in fact, we've got Steve Azar is going to be with us. Got a new single coming out, got an event coming up. We're going to have fun talking to him. I always enjoy talking to Steve every time we have him. Then Ben will join us, the golden-throated member of SuperTalk Mississippi News, to talk about what's going on in the news. But let's be perfectly honest. There's only one thing that anyone is really focused on and has been focused on since almost 24 hours ago. And that, of course, is the jobs report. No, it's not the jobs report. We're going to get to that. But you know what everyone's been focused on, the enormous blow-up and the end of the bromance. And I just want to start out. Rhino, your thoughts on this?
It kind of feels like this was bound to happen at one point or another, but didn't see it going quite that nuclear, quite that fast.
Well, that was the thing. It just snowballed so quickly. It started out just, we had several days of criticism from Musk about the big, beautiful bill, and there had been a little back and forth conversation, but not a lot. And then Elon apparently decided enough was enough. He was just going to go full nuclear and drop every bomb he had in his arsenal. Some interesting developments this morning, and I suspect we will have more as the day goes on. President Trump has talked to all the press this morning and said he has no interest in talking to Elon Musk, wishes him well. So he's just kind of ripped that Band-Aid off. He's like, I'm done. There had been talk last night that there was going to be a call today between Trump and Musk to try to smooth it out. And apparently President Trump has changed his mind on that. Now, in the middle of that, I don't know if you saw the latest move in this, and there are a lot of moving pieces to this that we'll get to before we're done here today. Russia has offered Elon Musk asylum. At what point does this stop sounding like it's a Saturday Night Live skit?
Oh, we're well past that.
Yeah, I think you're right. We passed that, very much so. And now we've got that situation. We've got the situation with SpaceX. Because SpaceX right now, their Dragon capsule program is basically America's only functional way to get into space. Russia sees the opportunity and says, oh, well, you can come over here. You can come right over here to be fine. This is a little bit of a touchier situation than some people might think. That does not change the fact that the entire thing, top to bottom, my opinion, is stupid. It's dumb. Come on, guys. But it's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think. I don't know about you, Rhino. I keep checking the social media. I keep checking Truth Social on Donald Trump and X on Elon just to see if anything else has started up again. I don't think it will, though. I would be surprised if it did. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they've got it out of their system for the most part, and now it's just going to be damage control.
Yeah, well, I suspect we're going to see a lot of activity of both of them doing their best to ignore it, pretend it didn't happen, and move forward. That would be my expectation, because there were some pretty big bombs that were thrown around yesterday in that battle, and that's not good. We will get to the hiring numbers, because I'm fascinated by the reporting on the jobs report for May and for every month, honestly. Never mind the fact that you take whatever they report and realize that's going to drop about 20% in a few months. It's been going on forever. But throwing that aside, there are some aspects of this. Everybody reports the top line number. They don't get down into it, and there are stories being told a little further down into it that I think we need to pay some attention to. Just saying there's more to the story than it was up 139,000. Okay, that's great, but how did that play out? How did all those numbers add up? We'll get into that. We'll talk about that. Don't you worry about that. What you been up to, Rhino?
Oh, not too terribly much. Just excited to be at the end of the work week at this point.
Yeah, no joke. Are the weeks getting longer, or is it just me?
I think it's because the temps are rising.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Although I'm sitting in air conditioning, so I'm fine. But having said that, the closer you get to summer, the more it seems like the work week takes forever to reach its end. But on the bright side, referring back to the hiring numbers and the May jobs report, hey, we got jobs, doing good. And that's kind of the attitude you have to take sometimes. And also, I got a lot of stuff to talk about, including, and I've got my little notes here to prep for the show. I have written down bricks off bridges. If you haven't heard about this, that's back. We'll talk more about that later on as well. And Elon's poll, I want to talk about that too, regarding forming another party. Let's have that discussion. Why not? Everybody's on board with it. I mean, like 80.6% of the people, and that was over 5 million people participated, said, yes, we need a third party. Because, that's worked so well for so long. I'm sure it's a fantastic idea. We'll dig into that just a little bit and see what's going on. I just want to make sure, Rhino, before we go to the break, I know it's coming up, and then we've got Steve. I just want to make sure that I didn't miss something. We are now finally, officially, completely, and totally done with the legislative session for this year, aren't we?
Allegedly. I mean, there's always the chance the governor could call another one, but I don't think it's likely.
I don't think it's going to happen either, but if there's one thing this year has taught me, it's that the old phrase, it ain't over till it's over, whew, boy, is that some truth. We've had special sessions, we've had we've had a typo. It has been a year. So I think everybody could use the break. But as far as I know, all of that is done, and we get to move forward with life. We'll see. I'm still seeing. I'm almost hoping we get something else from Musk and or Trump. But again, they've kind of gone to ground on this whole thing. The question is, and what I love is the number of people on the Republican side of things that have been coming forward explaining how both of them are right. In other words, when mom and dad fight, you don't want to take sides, right? And they've been saying President Trump is exactly right, but Elon is also exactly right. Now, we're kind of to the point now where somebody's going to have to start picking sides. If you ask me, that's the only way forward from here. Because the wishy-washy, mushy middle ground, that's not productive. That doesn't move things forward. The needle stays still if you try to make everybody happy. It's just not the way it works. When we come back, our buddy Steve Azar, good stuff going on with him, and we'll talk to him when we come back on Middays live in the Element Well studios on Super Talk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Life goes on for a little bitty while. It's all right to be little bitty, a little hometown or a big old city. Might as well share, might as well smile. Life goes on for a little bitty while.
Think for a moment about...
This segment of Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Check it out. Let's do this. The talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Let's get on with it.
On Super Talk Mississippi.
Worked as callous as I could. When the world came knocking, I was that good. Took what I wanted like it was for free. But while I was killing it, it was killing me.
I'm going to be honest, we could just let this play for the whole segment, and Steve and I could just take a break. I think it would be fine. Joining us now, Mississippi's music and cultural ambassador, host of In a Mississippi Minute on your favorite radio network, Super Talk. Mr. Ambassador Steve Azar joins us. How you doing this morning, man?
Hey, Dave. I have a new song, and it's one of the first ones I've written that hadn't been about Mississippi in a while.
Well, it is about Mississippi, and let me explain my take on that, because that was it that was playing in for the bumper music. Killin' It Killin Me is the name of the song, and boy, I don't think there's anybody in Mississippi that won't identify with that song and the message behind it.
Wow, I appreciate that. You know, I think people are taking me literal. Like I got this post from some guy that said, "I'm 8 years sober. How about you?" And I said, No, I'm good. I just wrote it, So I think people are taking it all literal. I'm sorry that you. Anyway, it's been heavy on my mind a little bit. It's funny, Dave. That sort of. I wrote a series of songs in 2008 that were when we obviously went through the mortgage crash and all that, and I saw a lot of my friends who were doing so well and were so focused on work that they just weren't thinking about anything that truly mattered in their life. And when they found themselves in financial trouble, they woke up to nothing in their life, nothing, because they had let it all slide, their family, the things that matter. And that I wrote some things to it, but then, just watching it all over again, I had some more friends who at all costs, and I mean all costs, have killed it. But while they were killing it, it was killing them, and that was the message. So I finally wrote it. It wrote itself pretty quick once I did it, but I think that it's been like probably almost 20 years in the making. And, sometimes I don't know what gets me to write. I walked by the piano one day, me and the piano crossed eyes, and I sat down, and it just came out. So it's doing real good. I think it's about about 30,000 views on YouTube in about 4 or 5 days, 6 days. So it's starting to roll there, and so we got a music video to it and everything, and we're going to do a little push. So we'll see how she goes in this day and age of the music business.
It's going to go great, boy. At this day and age in the music business, we could do a whole show on that, Steve.
Yeah,
but
we could.
I want to go back to something you said just a second ago, that I think some people get mixed up, especially in today's culture, because everything has shifted in terms of the perception of everyone on planet Earth, thanks to the internet, social media, the celebrity culture, everything else. Just because you create something doesn't mean it's all from personal experience. The fact that people think it does is a huge compliment to your ability as a songwriter and a performer, I think. Do you see it that way?
Sure, absolutely. And if I can't tap into what I'm seeing around me, and when it comes from me, paying attention, I've always paid attention to what's going on around me. When I was a kid, when I started writing songs at the age of 11, it was almost like a curse. I couldn't have a conversation with anybody. I couldn't do anything without going like, could that be a song? As you mature and you start to be patient in your life, and the reason you become patient is because you get to a point maybe where you can afford to, and you also become wiser. Like, just don't force that out today. Let's sort of let things happen. I have been blessed to be able to afford to let them come to me now. And so with that said, I'm grateful for that. I can think about all the ones that I did have to fight for, and getting the words out and the melodies that were right and all that. But yeah, look, I've been so blessed that the song is the opposite of me. Well, some of it's probably true. Look, we feel invincible at some point in our lives. We feel like that this life is forever, and we feel like nothing can stop us. And sometimes you have to have that invincible, go in there invincible and naive enough to accomplish things in life. And so that's a good thing. And you want to be confident and all that, but the one thing that I've always known, when times were tough, and in our business, times get tough. And I know in a lot of folks' businesses that are listening right now, times get tough. And, man, the one beautiful thing that I've always been able to rely on is my faith and my wife and my family. And no matter what, that's always been there, no matter what. And so I think that it was also a tribute to that, and Gwen and my kids and my faith for God above. And I just think that I've been a witness to it, and I'm grateful that I haven't fallen into the trap of being that person left with nothing when it was all said and done after you have killed it. So anyway, that was sort of the premise.
That's a great message, though, because everything that you just named, your family, your wife, your kids, your faith, all of that, you can throw all of that away completely in pursuit of something that's never going to last, no matter how hard you work at it.
Yeah, you can't. What do they say? You can't take it with you.
No,
take it with
no.
You and hey, Dave, as you and I start making our way into the Beyond Wonder Years, on extra large Beyond Wonder Years, and the rearview mirror starts looking miles and miles and miles and years back, you realize that those things that is the truth. Yeah.
Steve and I are one step away from sitting on the front porch of the home swapping stories. You realize that, right? That's what it sounds like anyway.
Don't get me started. Don't get me. You know, you hadn't been on a Mississippi Minute yet. That's the front porch for me. So anytime you're ready, come on.
Oh, yeah, we'll do it. I'd love to do that. That'd be great. It'll be one of those multi-episode interviews, because once we get started, it's never going to end. You know that just as well as I do.
Mississippi month. You and I have a Mississippi month. It'll be good.
I love it. Mississippi month. We'll take weekends off. Don't worry. But you've got the song out. It's doing great, but you got something else coming up that I want to make sure that we get in and talk about as well. The Delta Soul Golf Tournament's coming up again, isn't it?
The 14th annual. And that's funny. They were making a joke, the girls today, that run the show, really, and they said Friday the 13th is the night of the big night. We're going to have Jason Voorhees show up to entertain. It's our 14th, and you guys have been just such a great partner, and it's just been awesome. I mean, we've done a lot of good, and it's been the most rewarding thing, and it's been rewarding to be thanked. You know, I'm one of many in our foundation. And I get credit, but the credit belongs to the volunteers. And I know I sound like a broken record, and our sponsors and our celebrities that come in every year, and it's awesome. This year we got some new celebrities because I've had Mark and Dean, of course, from Hootie and the Blowfish have been here multiple years, but Sony, who I've written songs with, has never been here. Sony he's the drummer, and he played soccer at South Carolina, and he's been coaching all of his kids, and he's finally an empty nester. He calls me and said him and his wife Laura are coming. So it's the first time we've got Cliff Levingston. Remember, he won two world championships with the Chicago Bulls with Jordan. He's coming, him and his wife, and even Jake Coker. I know a lot of our Mississippi friends are going to go, no way. He is the greatest guy, Alabama quarterback, I think 2015 national championship. Really good guy. Met him through Pearl River Resort, doing some stuff last week there. And I said, Jake, you got to come to Greenville. You're going to fit in so well, and he's coming. So we got a lot of folks, and obviously looking forward to it. I'm going to be tired. I just want you to know that I have to be up late with everybody, and I have to get up early with everybody. And after 3 days, I get text messages from most of them saying, lose my number, forget my name. Like they blame me for all the stuff that they put in their bodies. It's not my fault, you know?
No, you just opened the door. It's all on them at that point, right?
It's the funniest thing. But, no, I really appreciate everybody. It's been wonderful. And obviously for all the beneficiaries that our foundation supports, just watching them thank us. It's so beautiful, and giving them opportunities to flourish in the arts. You know, Mississippi, man, we're the arts and we're agriculture, and we got that river and we got that Gulf Coast, and we've got the hills of Mississippi, and we've got the pines and everything else I've written about in our state song. But the bottom line is, it's a special place, and we are lifting up our Greenville and our community here, and a lot of vendors, a lot of people, you know, get to benefit from that, the economic side. And so to see that part play in as well, which is something I never knew about until somebody told me that hotel rooms and
Steve,
and
I hate
and
to break in.
Count.
We're up against the hard break. Can you hang on through the break? Because I want to let you finish.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Steve Azar, never apologize for being Steve Azar. It's a wonderful thing. We'll continue with him on Middays in the Element Wealth Studios right after this. Keep it here.
From the Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Welcome to our shop
on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Okay, now you have a good one.
Baby, saw you burning on the corner of Graves. Dressing like a mama, don't you want to play? Well, I'm right over here. Come on and start to wander my way.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi. Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Steve Azar here with us, and I'm sorry I had to interrupt you in the middle of talking about the Delta and the golf tournament, and I wanted to make sure you had a chance to finish. So let's get back to where we were, but I want to start with a question, though. The golf tournament, how has that grown over the 14 years you've been doing it?
Well, it's grown. It's gotten, I hate to say this, but in a good way, it's gotten easier as far as folks coming. Well, I think they are coming in from 22 states this year. I could be wrong. Wow. I think that's been the number sort of consistently. To me, growth is also measured in, do people come back? You know, so when you get the same folks coming from all around the country and they want to come back to our Mississippi and they get to know our people and they get to become friends with them, I just think that that's been such the extra, the icing on the cake, cherry on top, whatever you call it. I mean, it's just been beautiful to watch. So, I mean, look, a perfect example is, first of all, it's grown. Second of all, we can only get so big. It can only be so big, and I think that we're probably pretty much there. Now we figure out how to raise more money. We're at a point now where we're getting to put give to everybody that we are giving to and been giving to, and new people, and we feel good about that, and put money back when Gwen and I are no longer here. And if nobody's doing this, we can keep giving without us being here. So that's been the next step. We took us a minute to get there, but we're getting there now, and we're taking care of that, which is important. But also, the perfect example, the most beautiful thing is this. This is the relationships I love seeing. I was a celebrity guest, always Monday after the Masters. It was another year with Darius and all the guys. And we go do this event the day after the Masters in South Carolina. And I'm the celebrity guest for a team, and they're dressed in all Kentucky blue. And I know it's Kentucky. Their golf grips are Kentucky, and I know the difference between Duke and Kentucky blue. I kept going up to them at the beginning. Hey, I'm Steve Azar. Oh, I don't have to be me. We love waiting on Joe. It's great to have you. I said, you guys are big Duke fans, huh? And it was not Duke, and I knew it. And so I wore them out for about 3 holes, and they to the point where it got uncomfortable, and I said, guys, I'm messing with you. So that night, I dedicated I Don't Have to Be Me Till Monday with playing with the Blowfish and us to them, and they ended up coming to the Delta Soul. So when they come to Delta Soul, it was the first year Marshall Henderson had ever been here, and they used to talk about how they hated him because he stepped all over him at Romp Arena, right? That guy Marshall Henderson. And so when they saw him, they go, "Why is he here?" And I said, "Oh, not only is he here, but he's your celebrity guest." And they said, "We're never coming back." Not only have they come back every year and been incredible donors, they were at Marshall's wedding in Dallas. They have been to everything. Marshall's had them on the field at Ole Miss and football games. They are all best friends now. And I think that's the coolest thing is to watch how a relationship can go from hate to love, because of sports and stuff. But that's what the Delta Soul has also done is, we don't have velvet ropes. Everybody's inside the ropes. If you're a sponsor or you're a celebrity guest, you're all, to me, come on, sponsors are every bit as important as a celebrity to me. We can't have the event without them. So it's been great. It's been great. A lot of great stories.
And that's a beautiful story, and it underlines a couple of things. Number one, Mississippi and things that go on in Mississippi, done by Mississippians, that's important, can impact people all over the country, and they do. But you've got to get through and work past all the misconceptions. I do that on a regular basis, talking to people I know all over the country. Sure. They have this mental image of what Mississippi is, and they are so wrong almost every single time.
Yeah, way wrong. I'm going to give you a good example. I did my 85th show, my resident gig, which Viking Cruise Line calls it Steve Azar's Mississippi. And we have people from all over the country, all over the world, 400 people each time. And I get to do my Mississippi songs with some hits. Of course, the state song is The Glue. And I'm telling you, the first day we ever did it, one of the men came up to me, and he was in tears. And he said, to think that I had to travel all the way to Mississippi to rediscover America. And then even yesterday, somebody goes, this is not the Mississippi that I've been told about. It's my first time here, and this is the most beautiful place I think I've ever been to. The way you guys love it, and da-da-da. She goes, I am coming back. We have heard this so many times. My celebrities that come in, Reggie Smith, one of the greatest baseball players ever, he doesn't come in on Thursday when he's supposed to. He comes in on Monday. He says, I'm going fishing in Grenada Lake before I get to your event, him and his wife, Rose. This is what happens. We get everybody in for way more days, which makes me more tired, by the way. But I'm taking one for the state every time because I believe in us, and I know that there's something special. I've traveled. I've played every arena in the country, every, state, played around the world, and there's something about home here in Mississippi that everybody should really be proud of because there is a sense of place here, and we are the birthplace of America's music. There's so much here, but we're full of people that give a damn. We people that care for each other. And the hospitality, we are the hospitality state, and we deserve that name because I don't think there's any better people in the world. And I'm grateful that I got to learn to write songs because of Mississippi. And I'm just, and the Delta Soul, it couldn't happen anywhere else with our foundation except here in Mississippi. it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm getting a little verklempt. I'm a little, I love this place, and I want everybody to love it this weekend. When you're going into the weekend, think about all the beauty and travel Mississippi and soak it in.
I've been saying this. I've said this several times, and I'm going to say it again. I want you to get a map. If you've got a day free on the weekend, I want you to get the map of Mississippi and find some place you've never been and go there. Yeah. I don't care where it is. I don't care what it is. There are so many things to do and so many things to see just inside the state of Mississippi. You can't go wrong. Just pick any place on the map and go, I wonder what that looks like. Go find out.
Hey, go to visitmississippi.org and follow the Blues Trail markers. It'll take you to Liverpool, but it's so many here. And in Mississippi and surrounding areas, and the country music trail markers and all that. The Freedom Trail, the Writers Trail. I mean, they've done such a great job, and I'm blessed to be on the country music trail. Trust me, it's so cool to go down to Jim's Cafe and see it where it is, where the Waiting on Joe video was shot, and a place that I grew up playing music on that street. And anyway, long story short, there is follow the trails, and you will be amazed at the history that's been made in this great place. It's hallowed ground. I always call it hallowed ground. We call Mississippi. Beautiful, beautiful.
And the best part about it is if you're paying attention when you go down those trails and you see all these things and you see the history and you see all the people that have made such an impact, and I'm including you in that, Steve, and shut up, quit being humble. But when you see all of that, make sure you break off a little part of your mind to think, I could be the next one to make an impact.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you.
Take some inspiration from it.
Yeah, I'm totally inspired by it. I'm totally inspired by our people, and it's been awesome. And, I'm so grateful. I'm never going to catch up. I always say it. I'll never catch up paying Mississippi back for what it gave me, this career of getting to make music and write songs, and it's just been so special. Well,
we're talking to a man that is going to be exhausted in just a little bit after the Delta Soul finishes. But you know what? It's a different kind of tired. It's a different type of exhaustion when you're exhausted from doing something good for a good cause, isn't it?
I usually call it, it's so funny you say that. I say it's a good tired. You just said it's a different kind of tired. But you're right. If there's a such thing, it is. But I'm still going to be in a coma on Sunday from lack of sleep. So I want you to know that. So, but no, you're right. It's going to be a good thing. And as long as the good Lord gives us the strength to keep putting this thing on, we're just going to keep doing it.
Oh, you're doing a fantastic job with that and with everything else. And I know you have absolutely nothing on your schedule from day to day, so I'm glad you found some time to come and talk to us. Always enjoy talking to you, man.
Love you guys. I can't thank y'all enough for all the love y'all give me. It's the best.
Well, we don't give anything. We're just paying what's earned. That's all we're doing.
Thank you.
You have earned it, my friend. You have earned it. So just keep up the good work. And if you could, just, kind of pick up the pace on the new songs. That would be great.
You got it. I'll start writing more. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, slacker. Come on. All you're doing is running a highly successful golf tournament, ambassadoring for the state all over the country, and putting out new music, and I got to be upset about it. I don't know.
Quality over quantity at this point.
That's important. You know what amazes me? We get to talking, and every time we get to talking, you say something, and there's another 20-minute segment we could do. Every time, because we could go into that, but we'll do that some other time. Don't you worry.
Got it. Give Rhino a hug in there. I know he's working hard.
Rhino? Yeah. Hug.
There's the hug, Rhino. Later on, y'all have a great weekend, guys.
See you, Steve. Steve Azar. New song out, Killin It Killin Me. Oh, that's a great song. It really is. And the Delta Soul Golf Tournament coming up as well. We continue in the Element Well Studios on Middays right after this.
Mississippi.
Frisco Deli serving.
Covering the stories that matter most to Mississippians. Gerard Gibert. Middays with Gerard. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Now, when I was young, gonna be the greatest man alive. But now
this just in, Peter Doocy of Fox News says that he has been told that the Tesla that President Trump bought a few weeks back, as you know, made a big deal about it. He's either going to sell it or give it away. It's just a wonderful week, isn't it? Welcome back in the Element Well Studios, middays, and yeah, this is just going to get more ridiculous as it goes on. We'll talk about that more next hour. Right now, I want to end this hour talking about something else. And did you hear, Rhino, about what happened in Pelahatchie this week, election-wise?
No.
Well, they had a race for the Ward 1 alderman seat in Pelahatchie. Came down to a tie, dead tie. Each candidate received 34 votes. So, huge turnout. Well, huge area. So, they had to get in front of the county justice court judge and flip a coin to decide who was going to be elected. Now, that's in state law. That's the way you do it. That or draw straws. That's your two choices. But I want you to think about this for just a second. As unlikely as it is, as much as we try to use these kind of stories and say, well, this is why every vote matters, this is why your vote matters, we can still get to the point to where we use the same mechanism to decide who gets to go first in kickball to decide who's going to represent an entire ward for 4 years. I just feel like there should be some other mechanism that you could kick into play there. Do you have any ideas? Do you have any suggestions?
I mean, we could always change the law to include a D20 where if one candidate is evens and the other's odds.
I like it. And then we could just eventually let it morph into a full game, because if somebody else beats your roll, if your opponent beats your roll, then you can do a saving throw. And then before you know it, somebody is attacking with their elf or something. I don't know.
If you can walk into the room on your hands, you get advantage. You get to roll twice.
What I'm trying to say is, let's have a little fun with it if it's going to get to that level of silly. It's state law. You got to have some way to break the tie. I get it. I understand. But at the same time, that just seems a little trivial to me. I'll put it like this. This is for the choice of who is going to represent a group of voters for a 4-year period. In high school football, you go through like 7 different tiebreakers before you get to flipping a coin. Right? It's something ridiculous. Like, I think they changed it recently, the layout of it, but for the longest time, you had all these different things that you looked at, and you had to be tied in all of them before you got down to the point of just flipping a coin, because that was the last recourse. It's apparently the first recourse in electoral practices. Just seems like there should be another step in there somewhere. I'm just not sure what it should be.
I got another idea. Just pull up the list of registered voters, check the list against those that voted. Shouldn't take too long with that few votes, that low a turnout, and put the phone book on the wall and start throwing darts at it. Whichever number it lands on, both candidates get the phone call, and then the clerk calls and goes, who you picking?
Oh, I like that. That's a good one. I think that's better than my idea, which is, okay, you get that together. It's for, I believe, Ward 1 in Pelahatchie. You've got a dead tie vote between 2 candidates. Fine. You get them both in a room in front of the judge, and the judge has a series of 10 trivia questions prepared by the judge or a committee or somebody about Ward 1. The person who can answer the most gets the seat.
That would probably wind up with a better overall pick.
I would think so, but that's the thing. I think we have lost our way a little bit with elections. That's supposed to be the goal, isn't it? Ultimately, you want the best person for the job. Merit-based, right?
Yep.
But that would be a hugely unpopular idea. There are folks that will go down swinging fighting for the right to let a coin flip decide who is going to be the elected representative rather than something merit-based or knowledge-based or skills-based. By the way, the independent candidate was allowed to pick Linda Admus. She chose heads. It came up tails.
Tails never fails.
Hey, want to tell you something? It's tough being an independent candidate. You can't even win the coin toss. I just don't, I don't know. There's got to be a better way to do that. Just my thought on that. It's unusual. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it bothers me every time. Coming up next, we have SuperTalk Mississippi News right after Fox News, and then hour number 2 of Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Keep it here.
Stop, don't you move a peg. When I say go, just shake your leg and do the mess around. I declare, do the mess around. Yeah, do the mess around. Everybody's doing the mess around.
Middays with Gerard Gibert is brought to you by the Mississippi Business Journal. Visit msbusinessjournal.com. Scott Coopwood, publisher and president.
Get ready to go beyond the headlines and join a meaningful conversation with people from around the state. You're listening to Middays with Gerard Gibert here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Dave Hughes here, and I do hope it is a wonderful day for you and yours. You're getting ready for a fantastic weekend. Rhino in the box as always. You got any big plans for the weekend, Rhino?
No, but my brain was racing over the break about the tiebreakers conversation, and I think we've stumbled upon $1 million idea for court TV.
Okay, I'm in already, but go ahead.
So we just crowdsource or AI a whole bunch of different tiebreakers. You could have strength-based tiebreakers like we've had suggestions for boxing. You could have a foot race. You could have who can lift the most weight. You could have feats of wisdom and knowledge where they have to recite poetry or they have to answer your trivia questions or they have to have general knowledge of the government or whatever. You could have any tiebreaker you could possibly think of, put them all in one of those raffle barrels, have somebody with judge's robes that's not a judge because none of the things are actually binding on court TV, but people show up with a discrepancy in what they want from life and one side versus the other. Well, we're just going to fix it with a tiebreaker. And then you spin the big barrel, pull out one of the tiebreakers, and you offer it to both. All right, here's your chance. You take part in this. Winner takes all.
That would be appointment TV, but I do have one more suggestion. You're talking about strength-based things. Somebody said boxing. I've got 3 words for you that would put that over the top. 3 words. Professional slap fighting. You do that, you are guaranteed record ratings. And we get to work out a little, I don't know, depression, anxiety, upsetness, whatever. And just get up there and slap each other. Last one standing gets the office. I don't know. It just seems like there's got to be a better way. That's just me. Having said that, would we have to put that in place for President Trump and Elon Musk now?
I don't know if they've really come to a draw because it feels like there towards the end, Musk was firing blanks. Like he wanted to put on a lot of bluster, but didn't really want to dig too deep. Like he talked about, I'm dropping the big bomb. Trump's in the Epstein files, and it's like, yeah, his name's on the list. We've known that for years. He's talked about it, he flew on the plane. He never went to the island. Don't you think if there was more to that, the Democrats would have put it out? Plus, it's not a real good look for Elon that he was letting his kid pal around with him if he had thoughts about that.
Yeah. Like you said, it came across as very schoolyardish to me, coming from him. And the one card he had to play, he played and then immediately backed off of it. When he said, if they want to cancel the contracts from the government, that's fine. We will begin decommissioning the Dragon rocket program today. Of course, that is the only way at the moment, functionally, that the United States has access to space. That when they went up after the Boeing rocket went, they went up to rescue the two people that were stuck on the space station. What did it? Dragon capsule, SpaceX. They've got another launch coming up. I think it's next month, where they're taking people and supplies to the space station on the Dragon. So that was a legitimate card that he could play. And he said that, and about an hour and a half later, he said, in response to someone saying that everybody needed to take a step back and cool off, he said, yeah, you've got a point. We will not decommission the Dragon. And I know he thinks he's playing a high-level game, and Elon is good at high-level games, just, I think, not this one. He's a little too blunt and a little too forward to play the political game like he thinks he can. That's my take on this. It just seems like he's got that very direct, straightforward, you got a rocket, you set it off, it goes up. This is fairly, at its most basic level, very simple to understand. Not easy to pull off, but simple to understand. And then you get into this when you get other people. We had House Speaker Mike Johnson on NBC today. And, of course, they were talking to him about this because, it's the only topic right now. And his quote was, quote, I don't tell my friend Elon I don't argue with him about how to build rockets, and I wish he wouldn't argue with me about how to craft legislation and pass it. That was a pretty good jab from Mike.
Well, it's kind of a citizen's prerogative to argue about the crafting of the legislation. He might have a point about getting it passed, because that's a whole different ballgame than crafting it.
Especially right now when we have... yes, I know we're all excited, and rightfully so. We won the House. We won the Senate. We won the White House. We won everything. Barely. You look at the majorities in the House and the Senate, we don't have a ton of wiggle room. So it's a very thin line that you have to walk to get anything done at this point. I think they've done a decent job of it so far. I expect the Senate's going to make some changes in that bill, and it has nothing to do with Elon and what he said. That's the thing that I hope everybody remembers here. Most of those were going to happen anyway. Senate has been up front. John Thune and the rest of the crew have been up front from the word go that there were some things they didn't like, they wanted to see changed. And to get enough votes in line to pass it, they're going to have to change some things about it. That's all part of the process. I just think this whole thing has been counterproductive in general and specifically as well for the Republican Party and everything we have going on in Washington right now, because let's face it, it's a dumpster fire on a good day. Washington has been a dumpster fire on a good day for what, 20 years, 30, 50?
Longer than that.
200?
Not quite that long, but I was looking at it, and it really does seem like not everything, but how do I say this on the radio and not get fired? When sugar turned to another substance, it all started in the 70s. Yeah, it did. It's no coincidence, by the way, it was in the early 70s when we left the gold standard. I'm sure you've seen when
the
everything
chart.
Became imaginary.
Yes, you've seen the chart that tracks all the way back to like the 40s, the productivity and the earnings of the people responsible for the productivity. We left the gold standard, and those two lines diverge. Productivity goes all the way up off the charts, and the earnings stay the same basically all the way across. Once they decoupled that and made everything, like you said, imaginary, made up, well, at that point, the wheels kind of came off of the engine that made America what it was, if you want my opinion. Because it was always, you work hard, you apply yourself, and you're going to do great. That decoupled those two things when we left the gold standard and when we started spending our time in Washington arguing about ridiculous things instead of things that actually matter. Then we wound up where we're at now. And I don't know that it's going to change. It's going to take something catastrophic to make that change at this point, isn't it?
It sure seems like it.
Which is depressing. Having said that, you have to ride the horse you brought to the race, and that's the one we currently have to ride, and that in and of itself is depressing, especially since some of those horses are getting long in the tooth. Saw a thing this week, and we've talked about this before. We have more people 70 or older in Congress right now than we have ever had in the history of the country. 86 members of the House are over 70. 33 in the Senate. That includes 14 that are over 80, and 91-year-old Chuck Grassley. We have an entire generation of people that don't know how to go home.
And that's not necessarily a problem on the face of it. I mean, age is something that comes for everyone, but we have to live in reality and we have to speak truths. And one of those truths that no one wants to talk about is that no matter what age you are, more than likely your innate understanding of the value of a dollar was set in stone sometime between the age of 16 and 30. That's what your brain considers the value of a dollar. And all the inflation after that just confuses the heck out of you on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
That's why so many Congress people are so disconnected from reality.
Exactly right. I have no argument with that. We'll get back into this later because I could talk about this subject for a while. There's a lot of nuance, and all of it points to we got to change some things. Coming up next, Ben Milam joins us, old Golden Throat himself, from SuperTalk Mississippi News here on Midday.
The talk that keeps Mississippi talking.
We're rolling. Hit it. Go. Play it.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. SuperTalk Mississippi Middays. Dave Hughes here in the Element Wealth Studios, and joining us in the big house, in the main box up there, we have with us Ben Milam from SuperTalk Mississippi News. How you doing today, sir?
I'm good, Dave. Good to be with you again, man.
Always good to talk to you. And, there's absolutely nothing going on. A week of municipal elections. Yeah. You've just been bored all week, haven't you?
Just hanging out, our feet up. Sometimes Caleb Saylor's just kind of laying on the newsroom floor, getting naps in. Just not a lot going on.
Well, you deal with things as best you can as they come along.
That's right.
We've had plenty of times recently where Caleb was grabbing a nap on the floor because that was the only sleep he was going to have for the next 24 hours.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, in reality, that's a little closer to where we were this week.
Yeah, I would expect so, especially with the municipal elections on Tuesday. And let's talk about those.
Yeah.
The two big ones, Jackson, which wound up being exactly the non-surprise everybody thought it was going to be, right?
Yeah, that's right. A lot of the big story in the Jackson election was in April for the primary, the Democratic primary, which, as you kind of allude to, that is more often than not over the last 20 some odd years, 15 plus years, that is where the race is won in Jackson, just given the demographics. It is a largely heavily majority Democratic city. And so no surprise that the Democratic candidate, John Horn, State Senator John Horn, kind of ran away with it with 67% of the vote. But just, I guess, to rehash what happened in the primary a little bit, that was where a lot of the contention and tense part of this race was between State Senator John Horn and the incumbent two-term Mayor Chokwe Antara Lumumba, who, three-term Mayor Chokwe Antara, running for his third term, Lumumba was. And there were a total of 13, I think is the number, Democratic candidates running in the April primary. And so we, had some idea, just given the long stint that State Senator John Horn had in the state Senate and the state legislature, given his connections there. That was sort of the buzz a little bit, is that he was the favorite challenger to Mayor Lumumba, and that certainly turned out to be true. I mean, he kind of ran away with it, almost won it outright with 12 other candidates he was running against in the general primary. He got 49% of the vote, about 49%, and then 75% in that runoff. And they had just over 20,000 people turn out for the primary, and even more turned out for the general election, which I think, you would certainly say you would hope that the turnout would typically be better, but it's not. That's just kind of the reality of the turnout right now. But in terms of what you typically get, the turnout was really, really strong. And after such a contentious primary, you kind of don't know what you're going to get, especially in an off-cycle year where there are no statewide or federal elections this year, and such a contentious presidential election in November of 2024. But I think all parties involved, especially the Horn camp, are excited and pleased with both the turnout and obviously the result. He'll be inaugurated as the next mayor of Jackson July 1st. And he was on the show yesterday talking about how he wants to hit the ground running. They are right now working on piecing together a leadership team, a transition team, and they've got a lot of stuff on the docket that they are going to address, and citizens of Jackson are hoping that happens quickly.
Well, and one thing that you mentioned there, I heard this from a lot of different places around the state. Turnout was better than most people expected for the general election this time, which is unusual. It's a good sign, but it's unusual. It
is, yeah, and I think part of it was you had some sort of headline races for mayoral seats, Gulfport being another one that was getting a lot of regional and national attention, really, between Republican Hugh Keating and Democrat Sonia Williams-Barnes. Both of them had congressional candidates and sort of nationally known political figures come in and stump for them. But then you had, really interesting races statewide, both mayorally. You had some really interesting referendums, both on the tax side and alcohol side. And so there were just, I think, some big issues that took up a lot of space in people's heads, if you want to say it that way, that got more people out to vote than usual. And at Gulfport, I think they got almost twice the turnout, maybe a little less than twice that they typically do in a similar year that they did. So I think overall, if you're asking Michael Watson of the Secretary of State's office, who managed, the election process, I think they're probably really happy with how Mississippians came out and voted, and you would certainly hope it continues in that direction.
It kind of leans into the way the world works now. It's all about having the drama and the pathos and the marketing ability to get people interested.
That's right. And sometimes it naturally happens. I think there were just some natural stories and policies and candidates that just captured people's attention, and in a really important time we had around 200, a little under 200 municipal elections on Tuesday, and a lot of them were really high profile, maybe not statewide for some people, but in those specific communities, they were really, really important.
Now, talking about pathos and drama and heartbreak, I'm going to mention Mississippi State baseball now.
Yeah.
If we could get an emotional support squishmallow into the studio there for Ben, it would probably be appreciated. Not the finish we were looking for at the regionals, was it?
No, it wasn't. No, none of the 3 Mississippi teams playing in regional NCAA tournament action last weekend, as just about everyone's going to know, fell a little short, especially Southern Miss and Ole Miss playing in their own regional finals, both regional hosts. Both fell 1 run short. And, wearing my black and gold glasses, my Golden Eagles, I'm still not quite over that. I don't know that I ever will be. They say time heals all, but I think that pain is going to linger for a while. I've got a cough button here. I wish there was a cry button. I think I'd use it right now. But
it's a multi-purpose button.
Okay.
You can use it for either
cool.
one. It'll be fine. But
we might have to relabel it.
Was some good news out of Mississippi State.
100%. Yeah, I think the Bulldog Nation really excited, and they should be excited, man. What a hire that Zach Selman, the AD at Mississippi State, made, plucking Brian O'Connor away from Virginia baseball, the 22-year head coach of Virginia baseball. And really, you look at it on paper, just about any way you look at it, one of the most successful head coaches in college baseball in the last 10-plus years, the second most College World Series appearances of any program since 2009, and they paid him accordingly. He is going to be the second highest paid head coach in all of college baseball. We got the numbers on that last night ahead of the introductory, I don't even want to call it a press conference, more of a party at Dudy Noble Field. They packed the place out and had all the concession stands open and fireworks and the whole shebang there, celebrating the hiring of O'Connor. He'll make $2.9 million across 4 years, his 4-year contract, and plenty of performance incentives to go along with that for things like winning the conference championship, winning the SEC tournament, Coach of the Year awards, and, of course, getting to the NCAA tournament, hosting a regional, winning a regional, getting to the College World Series. If he hits all of those, could potentially, goes and wins the national championship, could make as much as $3.4 million. And, I think Mississippi State just showed they're not messing around. They're going all in on baseball, and they want to, again, be a national power. They've got the resources to do it. They've got the fan base to do it. I think, those wearing maroon and white, though they came up a little short this year, I think probably went a little further than people may have thought, making a regional in the first place after you fire your coach mid-season or before the end of the season. But even if they're sitting at home, I think they're fired up, and I think they would expect to keep playing baseball for a long time next year with Mr. O'Connor at the helm.
We've got a break. We're going to take the break. If you can stick around, I don't want to send you back too early over to the SuperTalk News studios. You'll wake Caleb up, right, who's passed out on the floor right now. And we can talk about some of the other things coming up. In fact, little fun teaser. When we come back, Ben Milam will give you his 5 top tips on how to avoid having problems from the Saharan dust. It's a shame he didn't know about that ahead of time. So he's got a few minutes to work on it, though. And then we'll get back with Ben as we continue on Middays in the Element Well studios. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook Bank. Okay, is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Ready here.
Middays with Gerard Gibert on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Dave Hughes on SuperTalk Mississippi. Ben Milam in the studio as well. And I set him up before the break. I'm not going to make you do that, Ben. It's okay.
I've got some if you want them.
Oh, okay, good, because we do have this Saharan dust plume that's headed in our direction. It happens just about every year, but they seem to have almost been worse lately.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly the environmental factors that contribute to that. You can do your own research there, I guess. But we do know the experts have told us, specifically Mississippi-based experts in the medical field have told us to kind of brace for impact a little bit. I actually think we've gotten the first taste of it this week, and it'll linger through the weekend, and I think for a couple of days after that. But it's not, you're not going to see this thick orange cloud in the sky. It's way up in the air, and it's basically another layer to the atmosphere is how we've had some people explain it to us. I think it's about a 2.5 mile thick layer of the atmosphere that is just going to put some stuff in the air, some fine particles that originated from the Sahara Desert, basically a dust cloud, if you don't know what plume means. I've had a lot of fun saying the word plume this week. Don't often get to say that. But it's going, if you notice the sunset on a non-cloudy day look a little more vibrant. That is partially due to this dust plume because of the fine particles. I guess you get more reflection and refraction in the sky and the sunset and the sunrise. But it can contribute to some allergy-like symptoms. This part of the year when it starts to really get warm, I think a lot of people anyways have some of those allergy issues. And so some doctors with the Mississippi Asthma and Allergy Clinic are kind of pointing to some things you can do to curb those symptoms. J.T. Mitchell wrote a great article on this. And here are the tips and tricks, Dave, that you were asking for. These are from the Mississippi Asthma and Allergy Clinic, not Ben Milam. And so you can actually...
So it's not his fault, is what he's saying.
I'm not just making this up. To avoid some of these negative effects, you can limit your outdoor activity during peak dust levels, which are typically going to be around sunset and also when the UV index is higher. You can keep your windows closed. You can run indoor air filtration if you just have a basic air filter in your house. You can run that maybe a little more than you typically would because opening and closing the door, windows, whatever, some of these fine dust particles are going to get in your house. And so it is certainly advisable to run some of that air filtration. You can continue, if you're prescribed allergy and asthma medications, continue to take that. And as always, contact a doctor if the symptoms are unmanageable. And also, just as a bonus, and I guess this would be number 5 because you asked me for 5, if you do have some of these symptoms or always do, just go get some over-the-counter nose spray, Flonase, whatever, CVS, Walgreens. I've been taking that a little bit more than usual. It helps a ton and opens everything up and helps you avoid some of these negative effects of the Saharan dust plume.
You just got to, if you've been outside for a long time, you got to be careful. You'll wind up making nose mud.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So you got to do it properly. Moving on from choking to death.
Yep.
Let's go to something more positive. The Match 5, Mississippi Lottery. Holy cow, somebody's having a good week.
$1.2 million jackpot, the largest in Mississippi Match 5 history. We heard from the Mississippi Lottery Corporation this week. This was yesterday that we heard about this. They won it in Wednesday night's drawing. It was a player in Columbus, Mississippi. And they're $1.2 million richer. And if you're I don't know, maybe you have a time machine, I'll read you the numbers. 1, 3, 11, 21, 34. Those are the winning numbers for the Mississippi Match 5 $1.2 million jackpot. This was a growing jackpot. This was the first win since April 12th. So nobody had won since then, and the jackpot just continually grew. The winner of that $1.2 million jackpot, they'll have 180 days to claim that prize, and I certainly hope they do. Hey, I mean, if they don't, I guess we get another shot at it. But for that person's sake, $1.2 million. Dave, what would you do with $1.2 million?
Never talk to you or anyone else ever again.
That was what I was expecting. Yeah, fair enough.
I would just vanish like a ninja in
off the
night.
Grid. Yeah.
It's so funny that it was someone in Columbus that won it because my best friend actually lives in Columbus, and I can't wait to meet him. Well, I can dream, right?
Hey.
You got to get that afterglow effect from it.
That's right. Yep.
As best you can.
Yep.
Over in Hattiesburg, big ribbon cutting they had. This is a big deal down there.
Yeah, it really is. This has been in the works for a long time. I think it was originally announced in 2021 that Jones Capital would be opening their headquarters in Hattiesburg, in Midtown Hattiesburg, right across the campus from Southern Miss. Jones, just over 70 years ago, started as a company, started just as Jones Lumber Company in Southwest Mississippi, and they have just continually rolled up new businesses, and just about every one of them have been successful. But it's a $50 million headquarters facility, again in Midtown Hattiesburg, 80,000 square feet. They'll house about 200 employees of Jones Capital, and that includes, mentioned some of those other businesses. That includes Coteray Construction, FE Recycling, Jones Logistics, Jones Lumber, Jones Power, Portable Fuel, Rockport Terminals, and 4 or 5 more. So it keeps going. It's a huge, huge operation. And for those familiar with the Hattiesburg area, that Midtown, the district of Midtown, that new development, a lot of that was centered around the potential for this headquarters to go in. And so big deal for the state of Mississippi as Jones continues to do really well. A big deal especially, I think, for the city of Hattiesburg is that can be really kind of a cornerstone in Midtown Hattiesburg and sort of have sort of a trickle-down effect for the rest of the city. I know they're really excited about that.
Well, it's a big boost. It would be a big boost for any municipality, and Hattiesburg definitely as well. One other thing, but we're about out of time, but can't get away without mentioning, speaking of big boost, big success, and a big deal, William Carey.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be great. It's another thing to be consistently great. That's right. And that's what this means, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. William Carey Athletics has done it again. They win the Commissioner's Cup of the Southern States Athletic Conference, the NAIA conference they play in, for the 9th consecutive year. And that is just completely remarkable. And several times they have swept all 3 of those, meaning the men's, the women's, and the overall. This year they win the overall and the women's and come just short of a clean sweep. But I'll just read you some of the titles that William Carey won in the 2024 to 25 athletic calendar. Men's cross country, women's soccer, women's indoor track and field, women's basketball, women's golf, women's outdoor track and field, men's and women's tennis, and baseball. That's pretty good, Dave. Not
wow.
bad. Yeah, go Satyrs.
That is, and that's what I'm saying, though, consistency. And success breeds success. We know this in sports and in everything. And, boy, is that an incubator for success at William Carey.
It is. They just keep doing it. And at the highest level of NAIA, it is not just in the SSAC and their conference. They continue to rack national championships up. And they've got people that have been there for 30, 40 years. I've been fortunate enough to do some work there on the broadcasting side, and it's a special place. And they just continue to win and to win big.
Let me ask you before we let you go. We were talking about, I don't know if you heard it, the tiebreaker with a coin flip in Pelahatchie for an alderman seat in Ward 1.
No, I did not hear about that.
Yes, it was a tie. It was a direct, exact tie. So the county judge had to flip a coin between the 2 people that were on the ballot to decide, is there a better way to decide a tiebreaker for an election? You got to go through all these other tiebreakers before you get to a coin flip in sports, but that's like the first go-to in elections. There's got to be a better way, right?
There has to be a better way. Wow, I'm going to have to kind of rack my brain for that one. Because I don't know, it just has, a coin flip has nothing to do with your political acumen or what the community wants. That's shocking stuff. And it feels very Mississippi too, but in a good way.
Well, it's state statute. That is the tiebreaker. You either flip a coin or draw straws, and they decided to flip a coin. Wow. So, 4 years of representation chalked up to dumb luck. is what it's going to wind up.
Congratulations to the winner of the coin toss.
Yes, and to the loser, don't flip out. But all the advice we got there. I don't know where else to go, Ben. It's that kind of week. It's that kind of year, actually. Ben, always enjoy it, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Always, Dave. Absolutely, man.
Stepping in, and come back soon, and we'll get in more trouble. I have no doubt.
Yes, sir. That sounds good to me. Have a good weekend, Dave.
You too. We will continue in the Element Well studios on Middays on SuperTalk Mississippi right after this. Keep it here.
Up a Middays with Gerard.
Good for America. Good for fans of justice and truth. Good for us.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
This is what we stand for.
I'm moving to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. I'm moving to the country, I'm gonna eat a lot of peaches. Peaches come from a can, they were put there by a man in a factory downtown. And if I had my little way, I'd eat peaches every day. Sun-soaking bulges in the shade.
I'm not even joking. We bought some peach trees for the house, and we sang this the entire day. It just goes along. You mentioned peaches, and we're there. Welcome back. Element Well Studio is on fire today here on SuperTalk Mississippi for Middays. Dave Hughes, Rhino, do have a little bit of breaking news was released in the last hour. The Mulberry Festival up in Mathiston to the west of Starkville, right up there. They have postponed it. Said the weather not going to be the best in the world, and they have said that they're postponing the Mulberry Festival to June 28th instead of this weekend. So a few weeks down the road with hopefully better weather. If you're saying, what is the Mulberry Festival? This goes back to what I was talking to Steve Azar about last hour. There are so many things to do and see and participate in and just go soak in Mississippi that you may not know about. That's why I wanted to mention this, even though it's kind of a bummer of an update, but it's still going to happen. If you didn't know what the Mulberry Festival was, now you do, and you have no excuse. Make your plans to go there on June 28th. Just a little friendly update for everybody. More of an awareness thing than anything, Rhino. That was kind of the point of that, because there are festivals all over the place, and some of them are good. As this weekend down in my neck of the woods, over in Walthall County, they're having their dairy festival. They're going to have turtle races.
That's the beauty of a Mississippi festival or get together or whatever you name it, because there's a lot of creativity in the naming. But there's always going to be a collection of events for the week or the weekend that you likely wouldn't have put together at first blush. But then you show up and it's like, oh, well, it's just got something for everybody. Like the Mulberry Festival. I'm pretty sure they're going to have a run, like a 5K or something. They'll have the pet parade. They'll have some sort of talent show or singing contest. And you'll probably have some politicians stumping somewhere.
Oh, well, yeah. You got more than 3 people gathered together. Some politician is going to emerge from the ether and start handing out placards or hand fans. So, yeah, there's always something going on, and it's always fascinating to go and partake in them. Also, at the Dairy Festival in Walthall County, an ice cream eating contest. I'm in. They sold me with that one. The turtle races, yeah, it's pretty good. A little slow, but still pretty good. Ice cream eating, yeah, I'm in. I think, and it's a dairy festival. You would have things, and it goes to what you're talking about. Even if it doesn't seem like it at first blush, most of the time there is some sort of underlying theme to festivals and events. And we're in festival season as we head off into summer. We're there. They pop up everywhere. So pick one and go to it. Pick one you've never been to before. If possible, find out about one you had never heard of before and just show up. You're going to have a fantastic time every time. No exceptions. One thing, had a report from down here, somebody on I-55 drove under a bridge, and they say that somebody on the bridge threw bricks down on their vehicle as they drove by. So that's happening again. I would like to give a personal note to people who think that's a fun activity, who think that's a great way to spend your time and bricks, is to go stand on a bridge and throw things down. I just want to give my own personal opinion, if I can, for just a second. You're a moron. And I'm being nice because, again, we want to keep the license. I could phrase it a completely different way with kind of the same tone, but you're a moron.
I think I've got the perfect prescribed punishment for the people that would throw bricks or heavy rocks or anything like that from an overpass onto oncoming traffic. You strap them into a chair like the dude from Clockwork Orange with the little things to keep his eyes open and somebody putting eye drops in there, and force them to watch on a loop the video, the harrowing video of the dash cam of that very thing happening where the man is driving and his wife is in the passenger seat and the brick goes through the window and you can hear in his voice that she didn't make it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a game.
No.
It's not a game. None of this is a game. And it seems like we're trending more and more towards treating very serious things as if they're just a game. They're just a lark. They're just something fun to do. Kids will be kids. Kids will also get their behinds whipped when they pull stuff like this, and that's the lightest punishment I can think of. So maybe we need to lean into that a little bit. Coming up next, we've got Fox News, SuperTalk Mississippi News, and then the final hour on this Friday of Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Keep it here.
Her free ride. So tonight I'll take what I paid for. One more time. One more time. I said one more
time. Yeah. And now, another hour of the talk that keeps Mississippi talking. Middays with Gerard Gibert.
Begin your transition now.
Now on Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi, hour number 3, the final hour of Middays in the Element Wealth Studios on this Friday morning. Dave Hughes in, and the scam texts are flying apparently. And there's, not much you can do about it. I've been getting the calls this week. They picked back up again for whatever reason. And now we're having to deal with it. I'm not going to lie. I occasionally answer them just to mess with them because I need entertainment. And that's my best way to work that out. General rule, don't believe anything that you see or hear. Aside from that, you're good to go.
Especially if you're getting texts from non-existent departments from the state government.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of states that have a Department of Motor Vehicles or a Department of Vehicles or a DMV, as they like to call it. I think California is probably the most popular because they have a lot of comedians and actors that complain about going to the DMV. But Mississippi doesn't have a quote-unquote DMV.
No.
Mississippi's got the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Transportation. That we don't have a DMV.
That's what these people do. They cast a wide net. They're playing the odds. They're playing the odds at number one. People that get it won't really read it or process it too much and think about it to that level. And also, there are plenty of states that do have a DMV, and they just substitute a different state name in when it goes to those places. I have gotten 2 scam calls recently from someone claiming to be from some type of medical facility. The first one was from the state medical facility. And I'm like, oh, okay, Omar, tell me what's going on. He said, I see here in my records you have lower back pain. That's the most common medical complaint on planet Earth. So you're playing the odds. Odds are your back hurts if you're answering the phone. So that way they can lead you in. It's the same process they use with phone psychics and things of that nature. By the way, I thoroughly ticked him off because I said, hold on, I just got one question. You said you're from the state medical center? He said, yes. I said, which state? And he cussed me out and hung up. So we need to be a little less credulous about things, I think, and we're not doing very well with that. Rhino has the right approach to deal with this kind of stuff. I think I'm a little more foolish than you are because I'm a risk taker by nature, but I think you have the perfect way to deal with this kind of thing, Rhino.
Yeah, my phone number is all over the internet from the standpoint of I've signed up and put my phone number into online forms stupidly, but because I wanted what was on the other side of the form. That being said, even though my number is out there and it's on all these lists that get sold on the black market for all of these illicit purposes, you don't have to help them out, because usually in the first or second step of developing these long lists of millions of phone numbers, they're going to verify that it's an active number or an inactive number, because an active number is going to be worth more to them. They get 7 cents for that phone number instead of a penny. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but at scale, that adds up, especially when you got millions of them. But the way you don't let them know you have an active number is if you're getting a phone call from a number you don't recognize, especially from area codes you don't frequent and don't know anybody living in, just don't answer. Because more than likely, that's a scam at this point. And if you answer, you open yourself up to the fact that now you have an active number in their database. Plus, like Paul and Meridian is saying on the C Spire text line, if they can psychologically trick you into saying just a few things that they can record your voice saying, it's much easier to steal your ID, steal all your money, steal all your credit, and cause you a ton of headaches. And it can be as simple as getting you to state your name or say yes or just say a couple numbers.
Yes, 100% correct, especially in today's AI society where you have a fairly small voice sample they can take and turn it into an AI offshoot that they can type whatever they want and have you say what they want you to say in your voice. There's a lot of different problems with it. So yeah, Rhino's got the right idea. I'm just a little bit stupid. You know.
And the one thing to remember, like there are a lot of people that are worried, oh, well, I've got to take phone calls because I don't have all the numbers saved in my phone. You can be discerning. If you're a entrepreneur or a small business owner or a manager or something, like somebody that needs to be taking phone calls from numbers that you don't have saved in your phone, 9 times out of 10, the scam callers are going to let it ring once or twice and then hang up. They're not going to waste their time because, again, they got to go through millions of these to figure out what's active and inactive. So even if it's something as simple as letting it ring that 3rd time or just telling people you know and interact with, hey, if I don't pick up the first time, call me right back. I'll get you that 2nd time. Because that's another thing they're not going to do. If you got to go through 1 million phone numbers in a list, are you really going to go through and call each one of them back-to-back twice just to double-check? Probably not.
No, you don't have the time. You don't have the time. You don't have the ability. You just let it go. It's cheaper, easier, and quicker to just mark it off the list. Go, nope, that's a bad one, and move on. Exactly correct. But you do bring up a good point, and I'm going to go full back in my day here. It fascinates me, the change in thinking among people, because when I was growing up, when I was a kid, back in my day, if you wanted to reach someone, they had to be home and answer the phone hanging on the wall. There were scam callers then, too, by the way. If you weren't home, they weren't reaching you, no matter what. And we have somehow evolved into a culture where everybody seems to have the expectation that everyone should be available 24/7, 365 at all times. Otherwise, what's wrong with you? I think that's backwards, and I think that's hurt us as a culture. This nonstop, always available, always connectivity, because back in the day, it very much wasn't that way due to technical limitations, and that allowed you to have some time where you didn't have to worry about all of that. It didn't matter. Once you were off, if you went camping for the weekend, you weren't talking to anybody. Nobody was getting a hold of you, and you were able to unplug a little bit. Now, oh no, you got to have that passy, got to have that lifeline, 24/7, 365. I think it's a bad thing, personally. You got to put the thing down, turn it off, leave it alone for a while. Somebody tries to get you, oh well. And what's fascinating, if you do that, and people, like you said, if it's somebody that needs to reach you, voicemail exists. They'll leave you a message. You can call them back as soon as you get your phone. You will be amazed how few things fall apart in your life if you quit hovering over the phone waiting to be connected to somebody.
And this might be a bit of a hot take, but if you are important enough to where you absolutely have to be reached on the first ring, no matter what, or bad things happen, people die, stuff blows up, you probably make enough to be able to have a couple phones.
And most of the time, if you're in that level of a position, you've got people.
True.
You don't get the calls. So a good rule of thumb, I think you bring up a great point, good rule of thumb. Do you have people? No? Well, you're not that important. I know this flies in the face of what everybody has been told. Yeah, everybody is important. Everybody has the potential to reach the stars. No. Sorry, that's an unfair generalization to people who don't have that potential. And in this particular case, that is a great way to measure it. If you're having to answer your own calls, not out of choice, but you have to, you might want to reevaluate your importance. I just don't think it's quite up there where you thought it was. Representative Thomas Massey this morning has introduced House Resolution 3795, the Gold Reserve Transparency Act of 2025, to go audit the U.S. gold reserves.
I thought they were going to do that already.
Yeah, that's been talked about for months. Nobody did anything, and now he's saying he's putting this out there to get everybody on the record and make it happen. This is going to end well. I just know it is. It's no problem, right? You just go spin that giant-handled wheel on the vault door and walk into Fort Knox and go, yep, there's some gold, and then go home. Seems to be a high bar to clear, though, doesn't it? It's fascinating. When we come back, I teased it way back at the beginning of the show, the jobs report. Let's look at the real numbers included in the actual jobs report that aren't being talked about. We'll do that next on Middays in the Element Wealth Studios.
From the Seabrook.
We interrupt this program.
Gerard Gibert.
Here we go.
This is huge. Huge news. Huge news. Huge. You need to listen to this.
Middays with Gerard. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. All sorts of breaking news today. Was just released that Elon Musk's monthly sleepover and D&D game with staffers at the White House has been canceled. So we'll just have to wait and see what other developments come out of that. Been talking about the jobs report. It came out and it's being touted. Even President Trump on Truth Social was bragging it. Great job numbers. Stock market up big. At the same time, billions pouring in from tariffs. He posted that earlier today. Well, 139,000 jobs added for May. And yes, that is a good number. And yes, it sounds good. But let's make sure we look at the entire thing here. Because when you dig down into it, I don't know if you've ever looked at the actual report that is put out by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Rhino. It breaks it down in a lot of different ways.
It's a thrilling read.
Oh, yes, it is. It is scintillating. It is, let me see, 39-page PDF document full of graphs and figures and you name it. So they always boil it down to the main number and throw that out there because nobody wants 39 PDF, small print, by the way, pages worth of data. But then you start digging into it. And you start looking at the numbers, and I just wanted to point this out. Buried in there are the statistics for full-time and part-time workers and the change in those. Those that are employed in a part-time job, that number went up 33,000. Full-time workers, those employed with a full-time job, dropped 623,000 in the stats. So more people with a part-time job, a lot less people with an actual full-time job that they can pay their bills with. Seems like there's some areas we need to be focusing on here, doesn't it? The 139,000 total overall new jobs, that's one thing. And I have not read through this entire report because, again, 39 pages just came out this morning, just flat out didn't have time to go through all of it. They've got the unemployment rates, which you and I have talked about before. Unemployment numbers are, well, they can be a little bit misleading when you hear them because it's not the exact full representation of what's going on. But there is, and I'm going to have to hit the magnify button because I'm old now. I told you, tiny print. Undocumented immigrants, they talk about this, are included in these surveys. But they don't know it. They don't acknowledge it or break that out as its own category within the numbers. But should we be focusing a little bit more on the fact that we got a bunch of people that no longer have a full-time job, but part-time jobs, at least getting something, has gone up? Healthcare added 62,000 jobs in the month. The total non-farm payroll employment increased by 139,000. I have always loved that. Non-farm payroll. Like the farmers, we're not going to count them. And I understand the reasoning for it, but it still seems like you're either working or you're not. And trust me, farmers are working harder than anybody else on the planet. They should be included in the statistics. Leisure and hospitality trended up. 48,000 new ones. Social assistance went up. Federal government employment went down 22,000. And I suspect that's a lot of the full-time employees that are no longer full-time employed. They were employed by the federal government and no longer are for obvious reasons.
You've seen the latest scandal on that.
Which one?
There are...
You're going to have to be more specific in 2025.
There are a handful of employees that seem to be the tip of the spear, or the iceberg, as it were, that took the separation payment. I think it was the VSIP, is what they called it, where you got paid to walk away from your federal government job. Well, in that contract they signed, in order to take that payment, but I think it was between $20,000 and $40,000 in severance.
That sounds right.
Something crazy like that. But they have to pay it back if within a certain time period they go back to work for the federal government in any capacity. And a handful of them had decided they want to just, I guess, ask for it as far as the book being thrown at them, because they've taken to social media to gloat about how they've already got a new job in the federal government and they ain't paying back what they already got.
They're going to come for you.
I mean, it's a free country, and I'm not telling you to break the law, but if you do break the law, don't videotape yourself doing it.
Right. Don't brag about it. Don't talk about it. But that's part of the culture today as well. You have to talk about every single thing. Get a popcorn kernel stuck between your teeth. Oh, I got a blog. I got to get on the tickety tack. I got to make sure everybody knows that this is going on. But when you're breaking the law, like you said, how long until we get a live stream of a bank robbery? That's coming, right?
Well,
it goes hand in hand with
had that in, what was it, L.A.?
Yeah.
The guys in the body armor.
I still think that a majority of our problems are because, let's just be honest, the average IQ is dropping.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's proven. They've laid that right out there. The average IQ is dropping. The dumber we get, the dumber we act. That seems like a fairly self-evident statement. There are plenty of people that will argue with you about that because everyone is equal in all ways. I'm getting a little tired of that argument, too. You got to go back to merit-based. I'm sure you heard about the Supreme Court, unanimous Supreme Court ruling that happened with the woman who sued because she was heterosexual. She applied for a promotion. Not only did she not get it at the company she was working for, she got demoted and then fired. A homosexual boss gave the position to someone else who was gay and then demoted her and fired her. So she sued for discrimination. And, of course, all the lower courts said, no, you can't do that. 9-0, the Supreme Court said, yes, she can. There are no different standards. Discrimination is discrimination. Merit-based is the way to do most things in life. It's the best way to do it, based on the merits. Who can do the best job, right? That's the way it should be, I would think. But we don't lean in that direction, and partially it's because, I think, of that dropping average IQ number. You know what I love? I'm sitting here and I'm talking about this, and I realize you don't hear people talk about this, Rhino, and you know why? It's a pretty simple reason. It's an uncomfortable topic.
Yeah, people don't like to have their shortcomings pointed out, and they don't like to believe that they can really draw a conclusion from someone's shortcomings, although that's kind of how we evolved, and that's what got the human race to the peak of civilization, was being able to discern who can and cannot perform the tasks at hand.
Right, exactly. This is in so many areas when you start putting those pieces together and you realize what we're talking about, and I'm talking about in general overall trends in society. This is not about one specific thing. This is not about work. This is not about transgender athletes, boys competing against girls. This is not about any of those things, but it's about all of them at the same time, overarching. Merit-based. Who's the best one for the job? That's the person that does it. Period. We're done with the discussion. Move on. That's the way it should be. That's not the way it is, though. And it hasn't been for a while. But we're starting to see some pushback on that. Have you noticed the extreme drop in celebratory pride messages from corporations this year?
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot less of those because the same old grift isn't working this time around. So now we got to drop back and come up with Plan B. There will be a Plan B. We warn you of that in advance. We will continue. I almost got my blood pressure up there, so actually doing so pretty good so far today. I don't know how I'm pulling that off, but we'll continue and see if I can run the string out until the end of the show in the next segment here on Middays in the Element Well Studios. Keep it here.
Gerard Gibert. Going beyond the headlines, breaking down the stories that matter to Mississippi. Middays with Gerard on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Another piece of breaking news here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Middays in the Element Wealth Studios. Dave Hughes here. There are reports that China has granted rare earth permits to some United States auto companies. But the trade war is going to be is going to end everything. It's going to end life as we know it. We may not survive this. It's so horrible. I haven't seen it playing out that way, Rhino. Not so far.
Yeah, wasn't that what Chuck Schumer was saying? We're all going to die.
Yeah. Yes, we're all going to die. He literally said that out loud. If anything, Chuck, I think at this point you're pretty solid proof. No, that's not the case.
I mean, unless you are stuck in a crowded room where all the walls are on fire and the ceiling's collapsing, or you're in the middle of the ocean on a sinking ship and the water's already up to your waist. Even then, it's only the hysterical people that are screaming, "We're all going to die."
Yes. Yes, but that's what they want is hysteria, and I've said this over and over, and I will continue to say it. They want you mad and scared. Why? Because you're easier to control when you're mad or you're scared.
Or you're crazy.
Well, yeah, but that's a given for a lot of these folks.
They keep repeating this study, and it keeps coming back with the same results, especially for young people that vote Democrat. There's a big chunk of them that are nuttier than squirrel crap.
That's putting it nicely. I'm going to be honest. We got some real do-wackadoos running around on planet Earth in America right now. And I think we're aware of that. You're talking about studies. I don't know if you saw the one that came out, a report that has come out that said artificial intelligence is wrecking the career ladder. The traditional career ladder where you start at the bottom and climb your way to the top. Started at the bottom, now I'm here. It's wrecking it for the young people. And I'm like, that was wrecked quite some time ago.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was when the boomers refused to hand it off to Gen X that kind of started dissolving.
Ask me how I know, said the Gen X guy. That's exactly right. And that's why, I talked about it earlier in the show. We have a larger number, just by sheer head count, of members of Congress that are over 70 now than at any point in the history of the country. We have a group that won't go home. Sometimes it's time. Speaking about the AI, I wonder who could have led the young people to the conclusion that if you just, apply yourself, go to college and learn the right things, well, you're going to be a success. It's practically guaranteed. It wasn't that long ago. You had then almost sort of President Joe Biden standing in front of a group of coal miners in hard hats explaining that he was shutting the mines down. And one of them said, "What am I supposed to do to support myself?" And he said, "Learn to code." Well, that's going great, isn't it? That's the level of advice we have gotten from the Democratic Party and their elected officials for a long, long time. We're almost to the point to where you can lump them in with the Jim Cramer effect. Whatever Jim Cramer says, the opposite is true. The opposite is what's going to turn out to happen. So what about those? Let's say there was a coal miner in that group. You and I know there wasn't, but let's say there was a coal miner in that group said, "Well, it's actually a pretty good idea." And they went off and they took some classes and they started learning to code. They learned Python. They learned SQL. got a little PHP for some front-end action, putting it all together to try to become a coder and get a job and change their career path. And now here comes AI and takes that away. Great advice. We need to get out of the advice business and get into the fixing stuff and making things work business.
I think some would argue that before even the AI kicked him out of his position as a new coder, an H-1B probably already did.
Yeah, that's true. There's a guy from a foreign country doing it. You know, in between taking customer service calls for American companies, he's coding. You're exactly right. We keep trying to hand wave away some of the real problems that we have, and the reason why is the solutions to those problems will either A, not be initially popular, or they're just too hard to explain. You can't boil it down to a soundbite, and that's what everything is now, sound bites. No, we have to deal with the uncomfortable subjects like we were talking about a little while ago. We have to deal with the things that aren't being discussed, because many times the only things worth talking about are the things no one wants to talk about. That has to change. But until we get away from the idea that the way to make important decisions and to effectively govern is the equivalent of a popularity contest, that's not going to change. It's never going to change. And we will continue to see things go off in the wrong direction. We see it over and over all day, every day. I don't know about you. I'm getting tired of seeing stories where things are going wrong and there's no hope. We're all doomed. It's all just a matter of time before you're going to be living inside a discarded chip bag in the park. Shut up and fix it. That's all we're asking. Fix it. You can. You don't want to because it doesn't serve your interests. That's the impression the American people have about Washington, D.C. right now. And they're doing nothing to fix that at the moment, are they?
That's why, and I stated this kind of yesterday on the show, but that's why when all these House and Senate Republicans started coming out with their reason they didn't like the big, beautiful bill, not a single one of them pointed to the coming midterms and said, well, if y'all would just give us 60 in the Senate, we could do more. Give us more seats in the House, we could do more. No, it was always about how they could find something in there that they could craft around what they want to talk about so they could get in front of the camera and campaign for their future, because they don't really give a rat's rear end about the greater good of the country or proper governance. It's all about how can I look good on the TV for my constituents so I can come back here next time.
Yes, that's 100% accurate. I've told it before. One of my favorite authors, Robert Heinlein, his novel Starship Troopers, it has created a lot of debate over the years. Some of it because of that absolutely atrocious take on it that Paul Verhoeven made into a movie.
Oh, but it's so cheesy. It's good.
Yeah, it's
just
good
not the book.
If you accept it for what it is, but it completely subverts the message of the book. One of the things in the book is the society that they have built up in America, the only people that are allowed to vote are the ones that have served in the military. And the given stated reason for that is not because they're better, not because they're privileged, but because they have lived the experience and been trained to put the good of the group ahead of their own personal good. That's military service in a nutshell. If you're going to lay your life down for a country full of people you've never met and never will, you're putting the good of the group ahead of your own personal good. That's the attitude you have to have, and I don't see anybody ultimately that really 100% represents that mindset in Washington. Harsh? Don't care. Tell me where I'm wrong. Now, we get a lot of lip service paid to, we're doing this for the good of America. Really? Prove it. It's not that hard. Prove it. Narrow it down.
The salt cap is proof positive that they're full of it.
Yes.
Because you've seen the map of the counties that are predominantly impacted by that?
Yeah.
You can barely see the colors.
Yeah.
Because the amount of geography covered by those who actually benefit from a higher salt cap is insignificant compared to the rest of America.
But it's a big, important deal. You know why? Because I just told you it's a big, important deal. This kind of nonstop, and I don't even want to call it pandering. That's kind of accurate, but that kind of misses the flavor of the problem to me. The problem is mindset, attitude, and motivation. And the mindset and the attitude are driven 100% by the motivation, which is to get reelected and keep feeding at the trough. And you can agree with this, you can disagree with this, but that is the perception that a majority of the people in America have. That's why they voted for Donald Trump. That's why the election went the way it went in November, to see change. We're not seeing a ton of change. And you can't just keep trading on that promise without sooner or later delivering something. That's why there's so much debate and discussion and unrest and problems, because, well, we want to see something. Ultimately, everybody in America is watching everything going on and saying, okay, but what are you doing for me specifically that's going to directly impact me? That's the question that has to start being answered in my mind. Boy, we started on one subject and went through 8 others in the middle of that one, didn't we, buddy? That's all right. That's the way it works sometimes. Final segment, you're welcome, of Middays on the way in the Element Well Studios on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
Gerard Gibert. He keeps his classified documents right where they belong. Inside a Journey record jacket from the 1980s. Gerard Gibert, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
I would just like to say, Rhino and I deal with the important subjects during the breaks. People don't realize we deal with the top-level stuff, don't we, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Welcome back. Middays here on SuperTalk Mississippi. I enjoyed it. I'd rather be talking about that, but Age of Apocalypse Wolverine is probably not on the menu for today. Mentioned this earlier, and I didn't want to get to this before we get out of here. I'm sure you saw in the midst of his X-Storm yesterday, Elon posted a poll and said, is it time to create a new political party in America that actually represents the 80% in the middle? 5.6 million votes. It's about to end. 80.5% said yes. This has been talked about for a long time. Where would you put the odds of that ever actually happening at this point in this political climate, Rhino?
I mean, offshoot party jumping up, that's likely to happen within the next 5 to 10 years. But a successful offshoot party, yeah, those days have gone the way of the dodo. Like, if Theodore Roosevelt couldn't get one started with the Bull Moose Party 112 years ago, maybe longer than that, I don't see anybody having the charisma or just the gusto to get one off the ground at this point. I mean, not only would it take someone exceedingly charming and personable, it would take gobs and gobs of money. And the only people that seem to want to have a whole lot to do with the public that have gobs and gobs of money aren't really the most charismatic dudes on the planet.
No, Elon is a perfect example. He's got more money than literally any one person on planet Earth. He is the richest man in the world. I would never describe him as charismatic.
Mark Zuckerberg, loaded to the gills. Dude could be a flesh-covered robot, and it wouldn't surprise anybody.
Could be. I'm pretty sure he is. Haven't we about decided at this point? And you just keep going, and you run into that over and over because it takes a certain amount of charisma. You have to be able to pass the beer test. Amazingly enough, the last person that had a decent amount of money and had this weird homunculus type charisma was Ross Perot.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to pull it off.
And all he did was he sank the hopes of the people he was closest to politically and handed the win to those he was against the most politically.
Yes. And that's unfortunately usually the way that works out. And the other problem is if you build a party around one charismatic figure, eventually they will no longer be inhabiting this planet. And then what? I know the dream is, well, that person just gets it started. That's just the bit of gas in the carburetor. Once you get it cranked, it'll just run. No. The personal charisma and personal force of one person forming something has a shelf life of their life. So at best, it wouldn't be a permanent solution. We'll wind up, and I got to get this one in before we go. Ohio, Scioto County, Ohio. Got a call from the Dollar General. Somebody had broke in overnight. Broke the front glass door. Deputies got there to investigate. There was a trail of blood and a trail of women's underwear leading away from the business. You can't make this stuff up. So they follow the trail of blood and underwear. There's a sentence I never thought I'd say out loud. Until it gives out, well, they had a surveillance camera. As you would expect in this situation, the person who broke in, who smashed the glass door of the Dollar General to steal women's underwear, did so while wearing just a pair of white underwear and a cape. They got it on surveillance video. They still haven't caught the person, the guy. It was a guy. Just about had to be, didn't it? They're asking anyone that has any information about the underwear cape bandit to contact them. My favorite sentence in the story, though, detectives recovered some evidence from the scene and sent it for testing. They've already told us about the blood and the lady's underwear. What the heck else did they find?
Whoever's in charge of the local news there really missed their chance to label this person the Panty Phantom.
On the bright side, the executives at the CW network just got a great idea for a new series. So it all works out, right? Rhino, I've enjoyed it as I always do, and I think we're doing this again next week, actually.
Probably.
Yeah, this looks like it to me. I hope so. I've already booked it. So you have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Enjoy yourself. And we'll do this again very soon, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.